to the Cooler Women's Wellness Tribe, the podcast. Get comfortable, get your walking shoes on, and let's get going. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Cooler Women's Wellness podcast. And I have a lovely guest with me today. I have Elizabeth. She's a self-love coach, a yoga teacher, and a space holder. And her mission is to encourage and empower other women to find their passion and their purpose. And I think we're going to have lots to talk about. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, I think I want to sign up for it already.
So, tell us before we get into the main cusp. I always ask my guests tell us a little bit about yourself first. So, where have you come from? Not physically, emotionally. And how have you got here today? So let's hear your story.
Yeah, sure. So sort of the shorter version is I did the do. I went to school, I went to university, met my then-to-be husband whilst I was at university. Went to university to do pharmacy, which all my family do. Went straight out of university to own my own pharmacy. And as you can imagine, learning pharmacy at school, you learn all the cool things, but you don't learn how to manage people and HR. And it was just nothing like I was expecting. I liked it to start off with, but then just every day became another day. And then you just find it's like you're just not finding any passion or purpose in your day-to-day. So you end up going on holiday to forget about that and just trying to find all the things that will sort of make up for that. And also in this time, I could tell there was just something not just right in my life. I just felt there was something lacking. I couldn't quite figure it out. And it came to a crunch, 18 years of marriage, that there was just one day and I was just like, is this it? And I knew there was just something with my now ex-husband that was just something not right, that I was being held back. I was quite a shadow. I was very nervous. I was very much of an introvert, very shy. So if we went out, he'd almost stand in front of me. So I felt I had no story. I had nothing exciting to tell anyone. And then one day I can still picture it clear as day. I went, I can't do this anymore. And he was like, what? I went, I can't live this life anymore. And I just, like I say, this is probably 6 years ago now. And I can still remember it clear as day. And I just felt this weight had been lifted off me. But also then all that worry comes in. What about the future? What about the house we live in? What about our lifestyle, inverted commas? What about money? But I just knew it was the right thing. So obviously he was very upset about it. But with me being an empath, I'm very kind and caring. So I guess I wasn't very honest with him why I wanted to end the relationship, because I didn't want to hurt him. Because 4 years later, I realized he was a narcissist. So every time I kind of said something, he would argue back, or it was me that was in the wrong. It was something I was making up. And I could almost feel myself being sort of dug into the ground. So I think in that respect, that's why I never actually told him. I think he'd have been happier if I'd have found another partner and I was having an affair and running off with someone. I think he just didn't understand that it was actually him that was the problem. We went through a long divorce. But then I started to find my feet. I went on a first retreat. There'd been a lady called Shona Virtue. I'd been following for ages, and she was doing a small retreat down in London, type way. And I was right, I'm going to go and do that. And then there was another retreat about a month later. And I was like, I've never been on a retreat on my own. So I ended up doing that. And people were like, oh, what's your story? Oh, you're really good at like your yoga and things like that. And I'm like, oh, I don't really teach it or anything. And I was like, oh, people are interested in me. So I kind of followed on from that. And then I started doing a Les Mills class. I don't know if you've heard of Les Mills class. Yeah, so body balance, and literally fell in love with it. I was just like immersed in music, movement and breath for this full hour. I was me, literally. This is my song, this is me. So I ended up training. I took a very brave step to train in that who knew how hard it was to be an instructor. And I started covering classes, and then people were saying, gosh, you're really inspiring. Gosh, you're strong but graceful. I was like, people are saying nice things to me. And I'm like, I'm not used to this. And I tried not to give the gift back, because we always try and do, don't we? Bit of reflection. And then somebody said, do you want to go on a month-long 200-hour yoga teacher training in Goa? And I was like, okay then. So off I tripped to Goa on a 200-hour Ashtanga and Vinyasa course. Didn't even know what Ashtanga was. And again, went through all the breath work, the meditation, just immersed myself in Indian life. And I was like, wow, there's just, you can find that silence, that peace, and learn more about yourself. So I guess, like we were just discussing before, you kind of just go, oh my gosh, there is a different life out of there. Like I said, I called it the Matrix. I was stuck in that Matrix for 42 years. And then it was like, what else is there? What else is there? So I think that's kind of my passion and purpose now, because I've found it myself, to encourage others to do the same. If you're in a job you don't like, if it's boring or unproductive, or you're in a relationship that it's, get out of it, go and live your life. And like I said, I'd rather have been on my own than be in that relationship. And it's, like I say, it's taking those brave steps, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was a short version.
No, it's really interesting. And I think it's just inspiring to, and I know we briefly, before I press record, I know there'll be people listening to this who, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, go and get a divorce, or, you know, just that inspiration of, just because you've made one decision, it doesn't have to be something that, you know, is forever. Like, yeah, you know, absolutely. You might be married, get a job, you know, all of these things that we feel that we're tied to. And I think the older you get, there's this sort of expectation, especially on women, like when men do these things and, you know, they go off and start a business in their late 30s, and it's like, whoa, look at him, and he's boss man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like, oh, what's she doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if anyone is listening to this and there's something small or big that you're like, oh my God, you'll know if you're going through this, because you'll resonate, and you maybe feel that little bit of a trap. So listening to your story is just an inspiration that there is life after, and then insert whatever the after is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I recall when I've just been on this retreat, and I did a few little quick videos that I can start putting on social media. It's like, it's never too late. That's kind of my motto. It's never too late to find your soulmate in your 50s, to change your job in your 30s, to go and just live this amazing life in your 30s, go travel in your 20s. Age, your timeline, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I think we're just so stuck in sort of our ancestors and our previous history, especially as women. And we would be called witches now, wouldn't we? But that's another story. But yeah, and it is so true. And actually saying that, because I'd actually written that, I said that post, and I was chatting to the lady holding this retreat, and we were chatting about something, and she was talking about, I think it was her grandma, and she says, oh, my grandma found her love in 98 years old. I was like, what? And I think he was 87 or something, so he was a toy boy, but they used to go and play bridge together, they used to go dance, and I was like, 90, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. And I was like, that's just incredible. Incredible. Yeah.
And, you know, it shouldn't be that we're like wowed by it. It should be that this is just normal, like this is life. And I think, again, it's just being stuck in this tradition of by your 30s you should be married. Well, even later, I have a client who's Russian, and she was telling me that her grandma thought she was an old bride, and she was 24.
What? 24?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, like now she's been married for 16 years now, and I was asking her, and I was like, God, so what am I then? Like, I'm not in geriatric work.
Yeah.
Scale of, in your 20s you must have done this, and by your 30s, by your 40s, and then I think this old vision of, and then what happens as women, once we hit menopause, that's it, we're done. Like, we can't have fun, we can't go out, you know, we've got a timeline. And I think women then, you know, modern women who aren't married before 30 or want to change career still have this biological clock or whatever it is ticking, that they need to do all of these things as quickly as possible, but we really don't. And if they don't, then that's not meant, it's not meant to be for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And most people rush into something aren't even enjoying that, say, relationship or career anyway. So it's like, you do you go live your life. And I always go back to like the ikigai, passion and purpose as well. It's like, what do you love? What are you good at? What comes naturally to you? And that you can't go wrong, can you? And like, what does the world need more of? And it's just, if you live your life from that rather than living your life through others, or like you say, feeling what you, inverted commas, have to be doing or should be doing. So
if a woman comes to you and they feel stuck, whether it's, job, just the home life, it might not be that they want to divorce, but they're feeling stuck, and they might listen to this and feel like they get itchy feet. What's your first piece of advice? What do you tell them to do or think or say?
Sure, yeah. I think it's, as coaches, obviously we know we don't offer advice, we ask the questions. So it comes from them naturally. So I often go to either you just a simple wheel of life, or Gina did like a self-love wheel as well. And it's, if you're getting everything there, your relationships, your social, your recreation, your purpose, your personal development, your career, if all of those are starting to get into balance, that's where you can find the shift. So somebody that's not enjoying the career might have arguments with the partner because they're fed up with the career, or the other way around. So it's like actually finding where the places are that are stuck. It's not necessarily where you think it is sometimes. So I think, like you say, it's always a questioning rather than providing the answers. And we kind of always know deep down, but sometimes we're not just brave enough to take that step.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you think it was that when you had the conversation with your husband, was there something that kind of pushed you over the edge, or did you have like this, again, this surge of bravery that, these things, sometimes it's as if someone else takes over and your mouth is doing the talking. And you're like,
that's exactly what happened. I think so. In the build up to that, we'd actually changed gyms because we lived near this other one. Since started doing this body balance and found kind of, inverted commas, different group of friends, so not his friends. And I think he didn't like that because he was like, who are they? He'd be like looking on Facebook, well, that's a guy, is he married or is he engaged or is it? I'm like, what? I'm there just enjoying my classes. And then, like I say, people were saying, oh, I love your story, or you love obviously your fitness and this, that. And I was like, oh yeah, it comes naturally to me, I just enjoy it. And it's a funny story. I always like to go to the pub, inverted commas, on a Sunday and have a curry Sunday and drink beer in the pub. And I'm like, I didn't mind it now and then, but it was like literally week in, week out. And there was where I come from in the Northwest, we live on the coast, and they do a beer festival. And we were literally sat there. There was nobody around. And I just, like, you just literally hit me then. It just came out mouth. I went, I just can't do this. And he was like, do what? I can tell you're not happy, but can't do what? And there was just some surge that was in me, like just do the thing. Yeah. And I was like, oh God, what have I done? I was like, oh no. But like I say, I just felt like I grew a foot, even though I felt so bad, so guilty, because obviously we don't like to upset people. But like, I think that's what hit me. I just went, I can't do this anymore. And I literally, like I say, I can almost see myself saying that. Yeah.
And how did you guide yourself after you'd made that decision? What did you, so if anyone's listening now that's like, okay, so I've got the surge, what did you do next? What sort of steps did you take to help yourself on your journey?
So I guess I was in bewilderment. I will be honest. I was obviously scared. I was worried about the future, what was going to happen. Inverted commas, was I going to be on my own for the rest of my life? And I was like, I think I would actually rather be there. So I think because he was still living in the house at the time, so it was kind of awkward as well. But I think I just kept going. I just know this is right. I know this is right. I could decide on what I wanted to eat or wanted to watch, or I could make my own decisions. And it was just so refreshing, because I think it was something I wasn't used to, because I'm quite a people pleaser as well. So I think obviously being a narcissist, that's absolute joy, isn't it? We can just take it all over. But yeah, and I just felt like I'd grown almost, that I could make these decisions myself. And if I didn't know, I'd just figure it out. But like I was saying before, it's almost like I was divinely guided to just keep doing the do. And I didn't know the answers. And I think also I was saying before, forget the how, just know it's the right thing. We can get so caught up on, but when, like you were saying before, people say, what are you doing 12 months? Well, I don't know. I could be doing the same. I could be in a different country, it's like you said before, I think it's that security blanket of, I get my 9-to-5 job, I get my holidays, I get my annual leave, I get this. But if you're miserable, say in your job or your relationship, there's no amount of money that is ever going to make you feel better. And I know many people, I won't obviously mention any names, that are in relationships and they hate each other, and it's horrible to see. And I think, especially when they've got children, the children pick up on it as well, and you get those vibes, and there's just a different sort of vibration in the area, isn't there? So,
yeah, definitely. Do you think that you had to learn how to listen to your intuition? So do you think your intuition was buried away when you were married?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think I just had no life skills. Like I was saying, I went straight from university, straight to getting engaged after 3 months of meeting him, straight into owning my own pharmacy, my own business. And that's what I did. It's like, I didn't know what else. So I didn't think, I can go and visualize doing this, or I'd just pick somewhere to go on holiday, inverted commas, to get away from the job. And then you just come back to everything else again, don't you? So I didn't do any yoga, I didn't do any meditation, didn't know anything about that. Yeah, but yeah, like you say, I think you don't listen to your inner self when somebody's almost controlling you, because you don't have that time or that confidence as well. Yeah,
and it is about finding that confidence within yourself to trust, and to know that there's one thing that I always ask when my clients are if they're struggling, or they're like, oh no, I can't, or I'll ask them, like, tell me a time when it hasn't worked out, where something really hasn't worked out for you. And 9 times out of 10, and even the one where someone does give me an answer, we eventually get to the bottom that everything is okay now. And the worst generally never happens either. So that I would say to them as well, like, right, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
They will say it, and then when we chat about it, we can, even just in a conversation, like, well, that probably isn't going to happen because of all the reasons we said. So we've just got, you can't give me any examples of when things have gone wrong and stayed wrong, and you can't, and we've been able to get to the bottom of
exactly. I know Gina kind of says that, and she says, and then what? And then what? What's the worst thing going to happen? But then what? Like I was saying before about podcasts, I used to be so nervous about going on them. But if you mess up, and I'm here doing the do, and it's like we can get so het up, like you say, we're absolute worrywarts, aren't it? Because I was saying about that book I've just read, The Big Leap, and there's a lot of self-sabotaging things like that, worrying about what's the worst that can happen. You story leads to story, and it can just stop you doing so many things. So one thing I remember my partner, my current partner, absolute light of my life, like completely changed my life. He was like saying, rather than thinking of 5 things that could go wrong, think of the 5 things that can go right. And then that's where you start to, because otherwise you're already setting yourself up to fail already, aren't you, with the low vibration?
Exactly. Keeping your vibrations low, frequencies low, so those bad things will come to you, because that's what you're I just see myself as a human magnet and think, right, where's my vibration at? What am I pulling towards me? And if it's low, I see this sort of like, see the little things like coming to me. Like, even when I leave the house, I'm like, I'm gonna get stuck in traffic, I need to leave now. I've just
hey, presto.
so quickly switch it. And I know that's a simple example, but that's how we can think of being like, okay, what's going to happen? What's the good things that can happen? You know, we're going to get through, the lights are going to go on green, I'm going to find a parking space. And even just for that simple journey, you can put that to bigger things as well.
And you're in a better vibration yourself, aren't you? So that's what I was saying about this, that book, because I got a mantra out of it to say for this retreat I've just been on, and it was I expand into abundance, love and success every day and inspire others to do the same. So I was repeating that every morning without fail in my yoga classes, and honestly I just feel like I've completely expanded in this last week through all of those things, because I've never really been one to keep consistent, so that's also my next word. But I've always been a bit dubious about this manifesting sort of woo-woo art, but I just believe manifesting is you have these ideas, you do the do, you get the goals, don't you? It's not just sitting around rocks and praying everything's going to happen. You got to do the work, but to do the work, you've got to give yourself the time to sort of, follow that path.
And you really have to have that trust, no matter what it is, whether it's, you know, quitting your job, trying to manifest, you know, even in manifestation, that it's the belief that it can happen. Because if you believe that it can't, then it's not. Like,
absolutely.
So obviously it's going to happen. So you're going to walk around and go, oh, that's never going to come my way, I'm never going to have that. Well, of course not, because
you're not even trying to go that way.
Trying. Like, and when I speak to people about like manifestation, like, oh, well, why haven't you got a Ferrari then? I'm like, well, I actually don't want one, so that's probably why.
I don't need one.
I don't need one. I'm quite happy with my Mini. Like, I like driving a Mini, but my Mini was a manifested car. Like, I've always wanted a Mini. So just going out to test drive Minis and looking at Minis and, you know, working out the finance for a Mini, and then see Minis everywhere because it's in your...
absolutely.
You know, I don't want a Ferrari. I'm guessing it's very, I don't know, they're too fast. I don't think I'd like driving around.
But if you don't want one, you don't want one. It's does that show you have money and success? No. Does that make you happy because you're driving a Ferrari? Not necessarily.
You can't fit anything, you know, but that's always, well, why haven't you got a Ferrari if you can manifest anything? I'm like, because I don't want one. Like, but again, just the vibration. I was just thinking of the story actually I read the other day. I thought I would have it here. I can't find it in my Kindle, but it just goes back to, you might have heard it. It's an old Taoist story, and I'm going to get it completely wrong. I'll try and find it, and when I post the podcast.
You can add it to that, can't you?
Here you go. It's called The Farmer's Luck, but it matches everything that we've just said. So I'll just, bit of a story time. There once was an old farmer who worked his crops for many years. One day his horse ran away. Upon hearing the news, his neighbours came to visit. Such bad luck, they said sympathetically. Maybe, said the farmer replied. The next morning the horse returned, bringing with it 2 other wild horses. Such good luck, the neighbours exclaimed. Maybe, replied the farmer. The following day his son tried to ride one of the untamed horses and was thrown off and broke his leg. Again, the neighbours came to offer their sympathy on this misfortune. Such bad luck, they said. Maybe, answered the farmer. The day after that, military officials came to the village to draft young men in the army to fight in a war. Seeing that the son's leg was broken, they passed him by. Such good luck, cried the neighbours. Maybe, said the farmer. So that popped into my head when we were chatting.
Well, believe it or not, that's in The Big Leap. I've just read that. That's amazing. But it's so true. And it's about lessons learned. I've had challenges along my life, and it's like, but what's the lesson? But actually, speaking of which, my Facebook was somebody on Instagram tried to put their handle onto my Facebook page, and it was disabled. So I lost all my business, my yoga page, memories of my mum that's passed, and I couldn't get it back. And so, like I said, I've just been away, and I thought, I'm just going to go on my iPad and just see if it's come back. And it says, oh, it looks like your Facebook has had weird activity. Would you like us to enable it again? I was like, what it's like, and that's like 3 weeks ago. So I've had to start doing a whole new Facebook page. So this is what I mean about setting those intentions. So that's like that expansion of the success and the abundance. And it's just, I'm like, how? But what was the lesson? So my lesson from that, I was doing a lot of sort of smaller classes and they were taking a lot of time with little remuneration because I didn't have like a booking system properly. So the universe decided to just shut it all down so I could reset. So that was my lesson.
And that's it. And that is taking, you know, when anything happens and just going back to being in the car, being in traffic, and even just when you're sat in the car and like I take the time, like, right, I'm sat in traffic, nothing's moving, taking that time to have a little think when you're in the car and like, why am I stuck in traffic? And I think the same thing.
There's a reason, the
universe is saying you need to slow down. You need to, like, here's some traffic to slow you down.
So true. And that in yourself, you're in a higher vibration rather than being this low depressed vibration. Why is it me? Why am I stuck? But like you say, you just naturally, I could listen to a podcast or I could listen to a book or something whilst in this time. So it's what's the lesson? Yeah, like you say, that's cool.
And I'm sure you come out of your marriage now reflecting, being able to say what you learned from that, like the positives you take from that, which ended 100%. Negatively, but the positives you can take. And it's an ex-boyfriend at the time, I was the victim and he was this, he was that. And after learning more about myself, I was trying to turn him into someone he wasn't, and he was rebelling, and all the things happened. But for a good couple of years, that was completely blocking me from doing anything, because I was just like, oh yeah, my ex was this and we did that.
He did this. And you're actually just stopping yourself, aren't you? Because they're probably not even thinking about it by now. But and that's that. I don't have regrets of being in that relationship. All I have is lessons, basically.
Yes, exactly. So if anyone is listening to this, I would say, and I'm sure, if there is something that, listening to Elizabeth's story, if you feel inspired to take some kind of leap, reflecting before you have, like, what lessons have I learned from this situation? So again, you leave with love, leave whatever it is with love and not
without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt.
So thank you for that. Is there anything that you'd like to share? So helping other women to find their passion and purpose.
I think that's my main thing. And like we said, it could be through relationship, career, through finance. Everything is kind of, it's like our 4 sort of balances, isn't it? Our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and getting all those balances in. And like I was saying before, you might find out your relationship's completely different if you have more self-love for yourself. If you've got low confidence, low self-esteem, and often, I'm not being general here, but often guys don't sort of get that. You need to find it yourself. You can't just take sort of compliments and make yourself feel. You got to feel better in yourself, haven't you? So it's kind of working on your inner self and seeing where that lies. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love that. And because I think a lot of women, and it's just the way that we're brought up, is that we wait for compliments. And when you get dressed up and you expect, and I'm guilty of it, I'm like, oh, do you like my dress, my new shoes, my hair? Like, you want that, walk into the room.
And then if they just say nice, you're like, nice, I want to go nice.
My boyfriend sent me something the other day, and it was a Mickey take, but it's like what my girlfriend expects me to do when she walks in. And like, she walked in, it went in slow-mo, and he was like, ran out the front door and was shouting to come in. And it made me think, like, God, I tell other people not to do that, to compliment yourself, to look in the mirror and
absolutely,
you look gorgeous. I love your dress, like, I love how you've done your hair today. And I'm guilty of coming down and like being in front of my boyfriend, like, oh, so let you go with that. Like you said, the complimenting yourself, we don't need compliments from
definitely not. No,
You know,
it just comes from that, in a self. Yeah. And I think only when you kind of do this light work and you give yourself this time, that's where it comes from. You find that inner confidence in your values, your strengths, and just if you live your life in that, you certainly can't go wrong.
Yeah. I think just talking to you, it's so inspiring that, you know, if anyone's listening to this, that there is life after, you know, Elizabeth is an example here of someone who, did you say you were married for 18 years?
Yes, yeah. I know, like half a lifetime.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, married for 18 years and took a leap of faith, and you know, it's all worked out. All worked out, and it's only
even better. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're there, if you're thinking that, oh no, I'm too old, I've been married for too long, or we've got this, or your job, like it's, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, all these variables. Yeah, there's a big life out there, and we can get so stuck in our little four walls, our own little universe. And I think, like I was saying, just even going on this retreat, there were people from South Africa, there were people from Vienna, from Finland and America, and it was just, there's a big vast world out there, and we can get so caught up on our own little inner worlds and all the problems, rather than actually thinking, what else can I be doing with my life? It's it's a life to be lived, definitely.
Yes. Oh, thank you. So if anyone wants, I'm going to put all your information in the show notes, but where, if they're just listening and want to type it in, where can people find you?
Cool. Yeah, I think I'm trying to work more on my Instagram at the moment. I don't really like doing social media. It's very time consuming, but it's on my plan. So I'm Liz the Yogi _coach on Instagram. And as I was just saying, my Facebook is back live. So that's under Elizabeth Warburton, which is my maiden name, or the Roots and Wings Academy as well, because I'm kind of building up this business for, like, say, because that was my bird set free, my tattoo as well. So I was set free from that previous life and set free to fly away to wherever I fly to. Red Roots, and that's my wings in the background as well. I know they can't see on the podcast.
And for people that are listening, Liz has got the wings on the wall behind her, so all the way through she's had a set of wings. I love that. I think
very empowering.
I love that. Yeah, you've had them perfectly behind you this whole time. But yeah, I will put all of that in the show notes. So of course, if you want to speak to Liz, reach out to her, you'll find everything there. And thank you again so much for joining me.
Yeah. Oh, it's been incredible. Yeah, I've been absolutely loving to chat to you today.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you all soon.
And that's it today, everybody. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you again next week. Don't forget, 5 stars, download, tell your friends. You're amazing.